speaking of pertinent issues that are going on in the world right now, we have some really, really concerning news to get into. I'm not super thrilled about this, but with the war between Hamas and Israel unfolding improper, some of that's leaking into the States. And I'm not meaning just angry arguments on Twitter about who's right, or BLM Chicago literally making a tweet about how they stand with Hamas while showing the paragliders who dropped in on the concert and slaughtered a bunch of innocent civilians. Not talking about that right now. No. This one's a bit worse. This happened in Chicago. Just a bit of a trigger warning for anybody who might have issues with child death. But a Plainfield man fatally stabbed a 6-year-old Muslim boy after listening to conservative talk radio. If you ever wanted to know what all of the fear-mongering from One American News Network and Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and all of them lead to, this is what it leads to. This is not a bug. This is a feature of right-wing media. As the war between Hamas and Israel unfolded in recent days, a Plainfield man became increasingly concerned with what he was hearing on conservative talk radio. He became agitated about the tenants living in his home, a Palestinian-American mother and her young son. On Saturday, he allegedly attacked her and then stabbed her 6-year-old son to death. These horrific allegations have stunned the Muslim community in Chicago and beyond and drawn condemnation from around the world, including from President Joe Biden. Elsa Cinderone, that's maybe the most ill-timed ara of all time. You'll get it anyway. Ara. I think the monster one actually works for this one. You maybe don't when talking about child death. But, Joseph Zuba? I'm assuming the C is silent. I could be wrong here. I assume the C is silent. But Joseph Zuba appeared in Will County Court Monday morning in a red jumpsuit and with matted hair, 2 days after the attack on Hanan Sheen and her son. The son's name was Wadea Al-Fayoum. I'm, again, very bad at names. I'm very bad at pronouncing names. Judge Donald W. DeWilkins ordered Zuba held in jail while he faces 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 2 counts of committing a hate crime. His next court hearing is October 30th. I want to go ahead and point out real quick, this is the distinction. This is the reason why the hate crime distinction exists. There's a lot of people who get angry at posts that I've done when I've talked about the legitimacy of the idea of hate crimes, but a hate crime is when you commit one of these heinous acts on, typically, a minority group because they are in that minority group. That's what this is. To try to argue that, well, murder's already wrong, so why do we need the hate crime distinction? Because, let's be honest, it makes it worse. The context behind why somebody commits a crime makes a lot of sense. If somebody commits robbery because their family is dying and need food, that's a bit different than somebody who's really lazy and wants a quick buck. Both of them are committing the same crime, but the context behind the crime actually matters quite a lot, and given how the jury responds to it, they may give different sentences to each of these people. Monday, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said the Justice Department has opened a federal hate investigation into the attack. He said he's heartbroken about the abhorrent killing of Wadea, and the FBI office in Chicago said it was working with Will County authorities. In the 45-minute detention hearing, prosecutors detailed how the crime against Shaheen and her son allegedly unfolded. Zuba's wife told detectives that Zuba believed he was in danger, and his tenant, Shaheen, was going to call Palestinian friends and come harm them. How? And why is the 6-year-old the target? Was the 6-year-old going to kill you? The fuck, dude. Let's see here. Fitzgerald says Zuba told his wife that Shaheen was Muslim and that he wanted her out of the residence where they had lived for the past 2 years. Neither prosecutors nor Zuba's assistant's public defender provided any evidence backing up Zuba's concerns about his safety. because there was nothing. I'm just going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say there was nothing. Not even a little bit. I'm sorry, but when there is a child involved, unless that child is aiming a revolver at you, they're not actually a threat to you. Zuba's wife, who wasn't home at the time of the attack, told detectives that he had withdrawn $1,000 from his bank because he believed the grid would go down. Ah, it's full conspiracy nuttery. Cool. This is the type of shit back when I was an Alex Jones fanboy that we were told to do all the goddamn time. We were told to keep our money out of banks. We were told to buy gold. We were told to buy vitamins and special minerals and shit from conservative talk show people because we would need them when the apocalypse happened. And then, of course, there was the obvious mac and cheese buckets from Jim Baker. All of this prepping for the upcoming apocalypse, the upcoming destruction of society as we know it. Again, this is what happens when you fall into that shit. This is what happens when you fall into that mentality. The idea that the world is coming down around you. Even in the scenario where the world is coming down around you, you still probably are better served by maintaining the status quo of walking out, acting alert, and just being yourself as normal than freaking out about the sky falling. Because the things you might do when you think the world is over might be a little heinous and might not be able to be walked back in case you're wrong. Let's see here. Shaheen told detectives this Saturday morning began peacefully as she had breakfast with her son. Zuba then allegedly knocked on the door and began arguing with Shaheen about the Middle East. Shaheen told detectives that Zuba is an angry man, but on the day in question, he came to the house and said he was angry at her for what is happening in Jerusalem. How in the balls do you get angry at somebody who's not in Jerusalem, not part of Hamas, not involved in the conflict whatsoever, and you're just like, yeah, no, I'm taking my shit out on you today? How do you do that? How? She tried to tell Zuba to give peace a chance, and then he attacked her with a blade. And she said he didn't give her a chance. Shaheen tried to defend herself and then locked herself in a bathroom with a phone, but was unable to bring her son with her. She called 911 and told a dispatcher that the landlord is killing her baby with a knife. Jesus Christ! I don't know what I would do in that situation. I don't know if I could safely keep myself in a bathroom. I feel like I would be screaming bloody murder at the person. Police entered the home in the 16200 block of South Lincoln Highway and found the boy lying shirtless on a bed. The boy had been stabbed 26 times. There is not enough surface area on a 6-year-old to stab them 26 times. What the flying fuck? Officers found Zuba in the backyard lying on his back with a cut on his face. He was wearing a knife holster on his belt, and there were several pocket knives on the ground near his feet. He had lived in his home for 5 years and had no prior criminal convictions. Assistant Public Defender Kyle Bleddy said in court, Zuba is an Air Force veteran, having served from 69 to 73. He's self-employed and owns property in Joliet and Plainfield. Ahmed Rehab, executive director of the Chicago chapter of the Council in American Islamic Relations, said that Shaheen is a Palestinian American, as was her son. The mother has been in the United States for 12 years, and the boy was born in the United States. He celebrated his 6th birthday on October 6th, and Rehab said they had no previous problems with Zuba. He even built the boy a treehouse. Again, I want to reiterate, this is a feature, not a bug, of conservative propaganda. This is what happens when you let extremism win out. I don't want to do the both sides thing because right now there's a lot of that going around, but I can tell you for a fact that all it takes is falling into extremism, letting yourself get too fucking radicalized, and suddenly this becomes possible for damn near anybody. It only takes a couple of bad instances, a couple of weeks of bad propaganda for somebody to change. And sometimes the change is permanent. Said a small shrine was growing outside the victim's home Monday, as mourners stopped by and placed flowers and balloons. Irene Romero, who lives nearby, placed a teddy bear on the home. She said the yard was often cluttered with political posters and dolls. That it's an eerie house. The lady must have been very desperate to rent somewhere. Jesus fuck, and that's what it ends on? That's fucking heart-wrenching. That is fucking heart-wrenching. I know that there are conservative pundits out there that do not want this type of violence to come as a result of their rhetoric, that do not want this type of monster to be created as a result of their rhetoric. They tend to want something vague to happen. They tend to want something far removed from them, but still violent, to happen. I want every single one of those people that thinks they have better intentions to look at a story like this and understand this is the end result. This is what happens. It does get worse. We've seen it get worse in the past, in other countries, and also in here. Just think about what we did to the Japanese. We know it can get infinitely worse than this. The hope is that it doesn't. This is quite literally stochastic terrorism in action. And it's a terrifying thing to have to read through. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and hopefully the fan art will be a reprieve from this. As always, everybody, insert end video tagline here. So I thought about it, and I don't think it's actually a good idea to put fan art at the end of this one. I know that I did say that was going to be something we would do because that would make things a little easier, be a bit of a palate cleanser, but honestly, after a topic like that, I think probably it's for the best we don't. So we're just going to go ahead and roll into the credits, guys. Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability that Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.